What's going on, everybody? True Danger here. D's for Danger. You know how we do it over here on this channel. Sorry, I've been away a while, but something brought me back. I've got a very special friend here I wanted to bring to the show. We have our good friend Laura representing the Power Ranger community and all things good and light coming from the essence and good feeling of Zordon. That's about as Power Rangers as we can get over here. Um, so, Laura is our guest today. She's going to share some really, really important things. You guys know I'm kind of silly sometimes, but this is going to be a little bit more of a serious show. But I had to do the intro a little bit. But this is going to be the Laura story episode. And she's going to share some things with us and tell us a little bit about what she has to offer to life, society, people, understanding, growth, all good stuff. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to pass it over to her and say, hey, Laura, how's it going? How you doing?
I'm okay. How is everything?
It's coming along, as usual. I'm just glad that you're here. And I want to ask you, if I may, um, why did you want to do this today?
I wanted to do this so that somebody out there would know that they're not alone, and that just because you go through um, tough things doesn't mean that you can't get through it and come out on the other side, and be okay, and you can come out a survivor. Um, I always tell people I may have been a victim of things, but I'm not a victim anymore. I'm a survivor. And I want to let people know that you don't have to live in that place forever.
Very cool. Why do you think that your story is very important and why people need to hear it?
Um, because I've been through a lot that I think a lot of people can identify with.
Yeah.
And I just think that people should know that this can happen, but it's not the end, you know.
Mm.
Um, and this too shall pass. Um, so all of the muck and the mud that can get thrown at you, or that you go through, or you have to walk through, um, you can you can clean it off and be okay. You know.
Very cool. Very cool. So now that we've gotten to that part, let's get started. Let's start from the beginning. Where are you from, Laura?
So I was born in a town called Harvey, Illinois.
Okay.
It's roughly 10, 15 minutes outside of Chicago. Um, and I lived there. Well, that's kind of a interesting story. So, I was born at Ingalls Memorial Hospital. Um, and then when I was 8 months, I was taken from my mom, Phyllis, and was put into emergency foster care.
Okay.
And a month later, I was placed in a home that wanted to adopt me and my brother. Now, I had an older brother. He was he was 4.5 when I was born. He was born in 80. So yeah, 4.5. And so we were taken together and we were put into the same foster home. And the parents wanted to adopt us because we were the first foster children, and they loved us, and it was a good home. It was a good home that we put in, and we seemed to be happy there. We seemed to thrive there. But Phyllis didn't want us to be adopted. Um, Yeah, she just wouldn't allow it. So at the age of 2, roughly, I was almost 2, when I was given back to Phyllis. And so from 2 to roughly about 8, I lived in Harvey. And then we moved to Lansing, Illinois, which kind of isolated us from our who we had known as family, and there was things that happened. We'll talk about them later. And I was taken again at 10. And Phyllis's rights were terminated. So I moved around a lot. I moved all over the city, suburbs, like I was everywhere, so.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's what starts us out. Now, if you're ready, let's get down to why Laura's here today, what she really wants the world to know, what she wants to share. So, everybody, please be respectful and let's let Laura just share what's on her mind, what's on her heart. If you're ready, Laura, go ahead.
Gosh, I don't really know where to start. Like I said, grew up in foster care, in and out of residential group homes, in foster homes. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm freezing up a little here.
It's okay. It's okay. Take your time.
And so right now I live in a town south of Chicago, about 2 hours south of Chicago. And I've been here 10, 11 years.
Okay.
Something 2012. So, yeah. And this is actually where I got sober. So, I am a recovering alcoholic. I have 10 years. I had 10 years in March. And that's been a journey. And yeah, I'm grateful for every day because I'm still here, and I shouldn't be. I've done a lot of things. I've done experienced a lot of things that I shouldn't be here today. And so if you want to ask questions, specific questions.
Well, we are all here today to hear your journey. So let's start with, if I could point out, what you do want to share about you in the foster system and how long you were in it, and really what it was like for you living with different families.
So now you're talking the first when I was 8 months to like the 2 years. I don't remember any of that. I've heard stories, but I don't remember any of that.
Okay, we'll start with what you do remember. What do you remember, and remember what you want to share. Okay.
Okay. See, the timeline is like a blur because I went through so many that like there were some that I was only there a weekend, or week or month, so there were months that I wouldn't go to school because I was constantly being pulled out of foster care and put into another home. and wasn't registered for school. I think at one point I counted 8 different elementary schools I went to, at least, and 4 different high schools. So one I do remember, I think it was Carroll Stream, which is a suburb of Chicago. And they weren't very nice. I lived in some not nice homes. And again, a lot of it's a blur, and I remember here and there and everywhere, but it's never a full picture, just because, one, I was so young, and 2, because it was so brief, so but when I came to the group homes, like, I remember more of those. So when I lived in Elgin, I also lived in Elgin, Illinois, in a group home there, which since then has shut down, so it's no longer in service. I experienced a lot of harsh treatment. So I don't remember why, but I'd been locked in a basement. And specifically, there was a very small bathroom in the basement that I was locked in the basement bathroom. And there was no running water. And I don't remember how long I was in that bathroom. But I do remember being so thirsty that I had to drink the toilet water because there was no running water. And I had no way of, so things like that, and different abuses that happened. So there I was not very well liked. And, part of it is because I called myself a feral child, because I had not been given the skills to function in society. So I had no social skills. I couldn't even eat properly. I know at one group home, they had to separate me from the rest of the children that ate, because the way I ate, it was like a animal had come through, just because I had no table manners, because I was barely fed at home. So, sit down at the table, what's that mean? And so I would, because Phyllis, going back to when I grew up, part of the reason we were taken, because Phyllis had issues. So she had Munchausen by proxy syndrome. She had schizophrenia. She had severe depression. And so she slept 18 out of 24 hours, if you will. Now I'm guesstimating, but she was always asleep. So she didn't know how to be a mother, and she didn't know how to raise us. And she didn't feed us the way she should have. And so I would eat out of cans. I know, like corn cans. So, you know what I mean.
Green corn and stuff like that.
Out of cans, just because she couldn't cook. And she wouldn't have, even if she knew how. I remember when we lived in Harvey before I lived in Lansing. There was a family down the street from us, from the apartment that we had, and they would feed us. Well, me. I'm not sure about Patrick. My brother's name is Patrick.
Okay.
So I'm not sure about Patrick, but I know they fed me. And I was always grateful for them, because Phyllis wouldn't. We hardly ate with her, And so it was nice that they had that family. The family lived there, so we could eat. I could eat. And somewhere around that time, Phyllis had a boyfriend. Um, he was significantly younger than her, and he worked at the restaurant that we would go to. Again, she couldn't cook, so we always go to either times we did eat with her. You know, it'd be at a restaurant somewhere. Well, we met one of the waiters, um, and she started dating him. And I think the arrangement is that he would have me in order to keep us eating, I guess. I don't know if it was officially selling me, but that's essentially what it was, you know. And she knew, you know, everything, and never did anything to stop it. And I guess the reason why is because if she had, we would have lost our meal ticket, I guess. So he was a pedophile, obviously. And so when we moved to Lansing, we lost that because he stayed there in Harvey. So it got worse. There was a neighbor down from us named Christine. She was my mom's best friend, and she's the one that fed us when we moved to Lansing. We would eat at her house all the time, and she had 2 kids of her own, and she would feed us, you know, because she knew that Phyllis wasn't feeding us. There was a lot of physical abuse. I remember one specific incident where I think I was about 9, and I wanted to wear a dress. I don't remember where, if I was going to school. Just I remember I wanted to wear a dress. I was so happy, and I kept begging her, "Can I wear a dress? Can I wear this dress?" And she just no, for whatever reason, no. You know, but she got so mad at me for insisting that I wear this dress that apparently there's a pot sitting on the table. And she picked it up and she started hitting me with it because she was so mad because I wanted to wear a dress. She molested Patrick, my brother. Patrick got a lot of abuse. He was older, and so he might have gotten it worse from her than I did. And he started to molest me because she was molesting him. And so I guess you repeat what you see, right? And so that's what he was doing. And one night in, I think it was 95, I was 10, she had a breakdown, if you will. And that's not everything, you know, that went on. That's a small snapshot of what went on. I mean, it got worse, but, you know, small snapshot of what happened. And one night, I don't know what triggered it, but she had a mental break, if you will, and she just started screaming and running up and down the stairs, and she got a knife. Somebody called DCFS. I don't remember who. I don't know who called, but somebody called the police because she was so erratic, and she had stuck a knife in my throat. I was 10, and she said, "If I can't have my kids, no one can." Now, I since then talked to Patrick about this, and he remembers that he had the knife. But I remember it as Phyllis had the knife. They might have both have knives, but I remember Phyllis having a knife.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Um, and so the police came and took me to my Aunt Mary's house, who lived in Blue Island at the time. Blue Island, Illinois at the time. And because we were just so damaged. We were so, it was awful that my aunt, bless her heart, she passed. It was a year in February. Um, she could only keep us for 11 days. And I don't blame her. I talked to her several times about it, and I don't hold any ill will towards her. I am grateful for what she did do. Because she recognized that she couldn't do it because here are these two kids that are so damaged, and what had my sister done with these kids? And she had no clue like what was going on. Like a lot of it was hidden.
Okay.
Everybody thought that, they knew Phyllis was kind of off, but they didn't know the extent of what was going on. And Phyllis made everyone out to think I was a disabled child. Like I said, she had Munchausen by proxy, meaning, I don't know if you know what that means. Munchausen syndrome is where you purposely make yourself sick. Munchausen by proxy is where you make someone else sick. And so she had everyone believing that I was severely disabled. So I don't know if this is true or not, but I know. So officially, I was diagnosed at the age of 7, with cerebral palsy.
Okay.
So that's the part I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it was the symptoms were exaggerated by Phyllis to garner more sympathy and disability for me, or because she was on disability. And I don't ever remember her working. And so she made everybody believe that I was this sick, disabled, disease-ridden child. They actually thought I was autistic. And come to find out that most of my problems were due to neglect.
Okay.
So the lack of social skills, the lack of like table manners, the lack of being able to relate to others. These are all traits in autism, right, that we know now.
Right.
But they can also be due to neglect. And in this case, it was neglect. Because once I was taken out of that environment and given a chance and taught skills, I thrived, and so back to Aunt Mary. Her name was Aunt Mary. And again, we, at the end, we were very close. Me and Aunt Mary were very close. And so I had stayed there, me and Patrick, for 11 days. Then we went to a downtown Chicago. There was I don't know if it's still there, it's something called Columbus Maryville. That's what it was called. It was they called it an intermediate shelter, if you will. Maybe it was hospital. I still don't know what it was. I mean, but we were there. We were separated, me and Patrick. And at some point, he had admitted to his therapist that he had molested me because of the guilt that he felt. He felt so guilty that at some point while we were still living with Phyllis, he attempted suicide.
Okay.
He drank Drano.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Whoa. Whoa.
So he attempted suicide because of the guilt that he was feeling about. He hated himself. He later admitted that he hated himself, but he didn't feel like he had a way out, if you will. And so he admitted to his therapist that he had done that. And that's when I think after that I was put in Elgin. And again, that group home. And again, I'm still dealing with all this residual that I don't know how to bring out. So I'm acting out, because I don't know how do I deal with this? Where do I put this? What is happening to me? And so yeah. And I moved from Elgin to because let's see, I was 12. See, there are so many gaps that I just don't remember because it happens so quickly. And so I moved to Park Forest, Illinois, and I lived in Aunt Martha's group home. And that was much better. That was a much better place than Elgin. That's where I met my my permanent foster mom. I will say she adopted me because she kept me, in all my craziness and chaoticness and everything. This woman kept me, and her name is Ruth. I call her Mama because she's my mama, and I still talk to her to this day. I'm getting ready to go see her soon, actually, in June. And yeah, and so I stayed with her until I was 21. I emancipated from the system at the age of 21. And I moved down to Charleston, Illinois, little old Charleston, Illinois. And I lived there for 6.5 years, which is actually kind of where I found my purpose. And at that time, my purpose, I think, was to be a nanny, to be a caregiver. And so I started, I met a friend, Nikki is her name, and
Okay.
she had an older boy. He was 1 at the time, and his name was Jonah. And so I started helping her with Jonah. Jonah will be 19 in August.
Okay.
So,
Sure.
Jonah will be 19 in August, and I potty trained the boy. So, I helped her raise her two kids. Second one's name is Sissy. Name is Veronica, but we call her Sissy. And they really brought me to life, if you will. They are the ones that really helped heal those parts of my soul that I didn't know were broken. Children are so innocent and they're so lovely. And raising these 2 beautiful babies was just the healing that I needed.
Okay.
And I do it again, because they meant that much. And, I still see them. Sissy will be 17 in November, and Jonah will be 19 in August. Yes. And they're still very much part of me. And a lot of my healing took place while taking care of them. And other things. I mean, I've been in therapy since I was 12, you know. And I've had good therapists, I've had rotten therapists. Um, but it's all helped me.
Okay.
And so, um, yeah. What else do you want to know?
What can I even ask? I mean, you really brought a lot out, and I'm very honored that you even were willing to share that. Number one, if I could ask something, what or where is your brother?
Patrick? Oh, Patrick? Good question. I don't know. So last time I heard from Patrick was about 2.5 years ago, and it was right before he went to prison again.
Oh
Um,
boy. Okay.
so he's been in and out of juvenile and the what do you call it? The corrective system since he was 12.
Correction. He's been in the correction system.
Yeah,
Okay.
since he was 12, 13. So last time I heard of him, he was 2.5 years ago. And yeah, I don't know. So I wish him the best, but we don't get along,
Okay.
and that's okay. I mean, he is the polar opposite of me. So
Okay.
we are night and day. So I mean, he got a lot of unresolved unforgiveness, a lot of issues, a lot of anger and bitterness that he hasn't dealt with yet. So um, he's a very different person, and he's a very angry person. And so I don't hate him. I've forgiven him. I've forgiven Phyllis for what she's done. You know, um, I mean, I can't change it.
Right.
I can't go back and undo it. So for me to move on and heal, I had to forgive them, you know, for everything that happened. I had to.
Well, I don't. Wow, that's what do I even say about that? I mean, it's just that had to just be. You handle it so well. You handle it so well because I'm just saying from experience and being around people, like so many people would have taken another route
Mm-hmm.
and looking at things and how they conduct the rest of their lives. And the decisions that they may have made may not have been positive ones,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and because of just the life that they lived and what they were exposed to and had seen. And to see you still out there having a life and trying to be and I can't even say trying, you are a positive person and you are making a difference every day you wake up. You make a difference more than what you would think, because for one of you, there are a whole bunch of people in other countries and in the States that may have a similar story, same story, or something even bigger going on. And, some of them are barely holding together. Some of them aren't here anymore. I'm just being honest about it, and you're here. You're here. And I think that the influences that you have and have had play a huge part into that. You know, and that's just my take. I mean, I could be right, could be wrong, but I think that your positive influences. What positive influences? If you were to name 3 positive influences, if you're cool with it, what would they be?
Well, the first one I'm going to name
Jason David Frank himself.
Mm-hmm. He one of the best parts of my childhood was watching him, and he made me believe that there were good people in this world, you know, and that not all men hurt, you know, because I was hurt by a lot of men. It wasn't just my mother's boyfriend and my brother. It was my uncle and my cousin as well. So I was just kind of a piece of meat for it to be passed around, if you will. So watching Jason he was a safe place, if you will. You know, he made me believe that not all men hurt, you know, and he made me believe in better, you know, and he's been a part of my life for the last 30 years. And he continues to be a big part of my life, and he will for the rest of my life. You know, I'm still learning from him, you know, his interviews, and, you know, he's always got something impactful and positive to say, you know. And so if I could be like him, impactful and positive, you know, that would be one of my goals. And, you know, I was watching his funeral, and I started thinking, if when I die that people say at my funeral what they said at his, then I'd be a success, you know. If I can impact people, if I can make a difference, and let at least one person know that they're not alone, that it doesn't have to end badly, you know. I don't know how I got through what I get through. Well, I do. God, you know, I believe in God, you know, and I believe that He got me through a lot of what I've been through, because I could be worse off, you know. I could be my brother Patrick, full of anger, you know. But I choose peace. You know, I choose to see that even there's bad people, obviously, but there's also good people, and I had a lot of good people in my life as well. So,
Wow, I mean, just to see the journey that you've been on, and if I could just jump in for a second real quick.
sure.
The journey that you've been on, I mean, I'm just so, how would I put it? Because our journeys are different, right? But where they're the same is the survival of overcoming great odds, and overcoming great odds at ages when we didn't even know what great odds were, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then getting to that age where you understand what great odds are, and still in the game of surviving and fighting every day, no matter how difficult your situation may be. And I say that because, you know, Jason, you know, was part of my team of inspirations. You know, I mean, you can see how I'm dressed. It's just a dead giveaway. But he played a huge part. It all started with me with Luke Skywalker because, it was before Power Rangers. Star Wars had been around since 1977. So, Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill was a huge inspiration to me as Luke Skywalker and even as a man. I mean, his life, just to see how he lived his life and how he's conducted himself throughout the years has always been an inspiration to me. And Luke Skywalker in himself, I mean, he was the greatest film hero we had ever seen. And he was faced with trial and tribulation and pain, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, I like Han Solo the best, but the thing about Han Solo is great. But the thing about Han Solo, if I may say, was that he didn't suffer the pain that Luke Skywalker did.
Mm-hmm.
That was the thing about it. He didn't suffer like Luke did, and he didn't have the weight of the fate of the universe on his shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Skywalker had, because everybody's like, oh, Luke's whiny. He's always, conflicted. And I was like, because he had the weight of the universe on his shoulder. I said, you have to think he was a country bumpkin that was brought into a civil war, and he doesn't know his place or who he is. He just started to learn a little bit of that by the time everything kicks off. And by that time, Aunt and Uncle dead. Everything he knows is now speeding at the, at an incredible pace, of light. It's speeding up that fast because Aunt and Uncle dead. No place to go. Best friend gone. Where do I go now? I guess I got to go with this. What is he? A Jedi Knight, go with him to go on this idea of an adventure, and somehow in there find myself based upon what he tells me about my father, who he knew. And I'm just learning all this going on in the past couple days. That's a big jump. And now I've got to sell everything I own, get on the ship with this kind of pirate guy and his first mate. I don't know. I guess they're going to get us there. We're paying them. Maybe they're kind of honest enough to do right by us to get us to this planet. And we got this Imperial force chasing us halfway through this, and hope that we get to our destination okay. And the adventure begins, right?
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, that's what happened. So to have a character, whether if it's Luke or Tommy Oliver, to go through the challenges, and I'm going to touch on Tommy Oliver a little bit. When we first get introduced to Tommy Oliver, he's a villain, not by choice.
Mm-mm.
Not by choice. He's a good guy all the way down, but not by choice. He's brainwashed essentially to be a villain and to be evil. And he does great evil things that in some ways we all forget that the journey, especially when he came back the second time with the Green Ranger powers, with his partial powers, that was really the journey of Tommy, where he dealt with the pain of the bad things that he had done, because every episode was about that, right? Losing his powers, but also knowing that I was an evil character. I was an evil person that had done evil things. He was always being tested all the way down to the last ounce of his Green Ranger powers, that he was that guy that did not so good things.
Mm-hmm.
And he was being controlled to do that. But the thing was, yeah, I was controlled, but I did them. So how do I make that right? That's what made him, in so many ways, the better Ranger out of all the other Rangers on the show. Out of the 6, that's what made him the better Ranger, was because he really understood that there's evil element, and that evil element was him at one time, and he did horrible things. So now he has to find within himself to stay in that fight as a force of good to change the tide now. And will the world and will the Rangers actually trust him to do this? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And see, that's the thing that the comic books kind of touched on a little bit more. They had more of a conflict of him joining the team and how he would be received by everybody because of what he had done. Because they were still kind of looking at him like, at any moment can Rita take him over and make him evil? Or is this a game? Is he really on our side? Those questions come up, and those are very normal questions to ask. And so Tommy's challenged, JDF was challenged. And for us as kids that were at that time when the show was coming out, we saw all that, and it meant so much to us. And we were inspired by the Rangers, and we were inspired by other things that gave us that drive to get up every morning to go beyond the barrier of our limitations in so many ways, to really find something special in us to help us to get through that day. And in your case, if it was watching Power Rangers, hearing the message, connecting with those characters that brought you a great inspiration, but I'm sure in a lot of ways a great joy, that sometimes maybe that was the only joy and inspiration you were getting. And I totally can relate on that level. Like, my life wasn't like that, but it had its difficulties and its challenges. And sometimes the hope that I got from Luke Skywalker or Tommy Oliver or Remy LeBeau, aka Gambit from X-Men, were or Bruce Wayne, Batman, or Dick Grayson, Robin, or Nightwing, whichever suit he's wearing at the time, and others that really became like a positive family. Even though they're fictional characters, they inspire. See, people, this is what I'm getting to. People want to put that stuff down, but they forget that the Iliad, the Odyssey, all the stories of Greek mythology as well as other countries' mythology, tales of heroes, those stories that we have are a reflection of that. That's where they came from. Hercules, Perseus, these stories came from a place of fictional characters, but fictional characters to inspire, to tell great deeds of strength, trial, tribulation. The hero of 1,000 faces. These things inspired us, and they've been around for many generations, from the campfires to the cowboys to the Native Americans to the Greek warriors to the Roman warriors to the warriors in the Middle East to the pirates, that were good, characters. They all came from history that was real, and some of it was fiction. But they were all meant to inspire and help us to grow into something greater than ourselves. And see, comic books and fictional characters of modern times came from those ideas. That's where they all came from. And this was tested. You might not, I don't think you're too familiar with it, Laura, but Mad Max. So Mel Gibson, you know who Mel Gibson is? Okay, so Mel Gibson's first big movie role was a character by the name of Mad Max, Max Rokitansky, in 1979. Mel Gibson was in his 20s at the time. And the story of Max, when they got down to Thunderdome, which wasn't my favorite Mad Max movie, but the story of what I'm about to tell you just lines up perfectly. So I'll use it for that. But when they were doing Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, they were in a country. I want to say it was in the back areas, way back areas of Australia, where they were. and they had one of the film assistants, to go out and communicate with the tribe. I think they might have been Aborigines, or something very closely to it, and to ask them if they had their permission to film some of the movie in the area, and how he pitched it to them. And it was the truth, was they are telling a tale of a hero that is coming through this area to tell this amazing story of how he reaches to a part of him that he has let die and bring it back to help and change the fate of the world that they're in. And from it, he'll help these children escape and have a better place to be. He's going to save the day in a big way that he no longer thought he had in him anymore. And the Aborigine, when translated, was saying that story is a story that we have. And these are villagers that had never seen movies, had never been in civilization at a heavy level or anything like that, right? But they said that's our story too. You see? That's how we connect. Even though they hadn't seen film or didn't know who Mad Max was. But they're saying Max is a part of us. Just like Jason or Tommy Oliver is a part of us. Just like Luke Skywalker is a part of us. Just like Conan the Barbarian is a part of us. Or Batman or Superman is a part of us. They're all a part of us. You see, they all share that hero's journey. That's what it's really, really about. And it's about going against the odds. It's about making the impossible possible. You know, no matter what you're going through. Because real quick with Max, Mad Max was the original Mad Max series with Mel Gibson was 3 movies. And again, I thought it should have ended with 2, but what do I know? But Max was a CHP, state trooper, if you put those together. He was a highway patrolman. And he was in a apocalyptic, what was becoming apocalyptic future soon. You know, society was starting to kind of collapse and they were kind of losing their grip on things. And Max was part of the Main Force Patrol, MFP. He was like the last line of a law enforcement regiment that was trying to keep the highways safe, and people were just being killed, and there were like nomad people, and society wasn't holding together. And Max was this young police officer that still believed in those things. And he was also their best patrolman. He could drive better than anybody else, and he caught all the bad guys. And the thing about the story was that, sorry guys, spoilers, but it came out in 1979. If you haven't seen it, I don't know. Mel Gibson's in his 60s now. So the thing is, you know, Max has a really good friend by the name of Jim Goose, who was another patrol officer. He was a motorcycle patrol officer. He's killed by the very gang that comes through the territory to kind of just run it over and pillage it and take it over, right? And so he's killed by them, unfortunately. It's implied that he's still kind of alive. He kind of got burned. So you don't really know if Goose survives the burns. You see Goose burned up. They don't show it to you. You see like a burned hand. I'm just saying, in the rest of the movie, they don't know. You don't go back to the hospital, so you don't know if he survived those severe burns as the week went on. But he's alive at that moment, but he's in bad shape. And so Max, of course, is upset. He doesn't know if his friends are going to survive. And then the same villains, they really start kind of coming after him, because he ended up stopping a criminal. This is how this all started. There was a criminal that killed a police force that was transporting him to a jail. He ended up killing them and stealing their car. And so Max and his team went and stopped him, and Max stopped the guy. The guy died with his girlfriend in the accident, because they weren't going to stop, of course. And so Max, went head to head with him. They ended up crashing. And so his friends were those criminals, and they wanted to know who was responsible for killing their friend. So they just started working their way down to people. And Max ended up kind of being the last guy on that team. But he was the guy that, had stopped. His name was the Knight Rider. So they stopped him. And Max tried to kind of go on vacation, get away after all this craziness. And so he kind of does it. But those Nomad guys on the bikes, they ended up finding his wife. Actually, they find her. They don't know who she is exactly. They just see a pretty girl. She has to kind of fight the guys to get away with her and Max's son. And they get to Max and they kind of drive off. And the guy that was changing their tires at a tire repair shop that they had, the Nomad guys ask, who was that? And then she said, I don't know who they are, but they said they might be going north. So those Nomad guys go up north and end up running into her again. And Max is working on their car. She's over in another side of the property, and they the baby and her they end up getting killed. And so Max, he gets there right after they just got killed. So that's why it's called Mad Max. He goes from Max Rockatansky, the police officer, the main force patrol guy, to Mad Max, and he becomes a force of vengeance. And long story short, he kills all those guys, of course, with a very nice car, by the way. Ford Falcon from Australia. They're really cool. And he does that. And the reason I'm saying all this is because I'm trying to explain a journey of a character, of a hero. Max is a hero, but now he's an empty shell. And the movie ends with him. He's driving off angry, and headed off to we don't know where. And, it ends that way. By the second movie, he's completely lost himself. He's just scavenging. By now, the apocalypse is fully in. So society's fully collapsed. People are doing crazy stuff. It's not holding together. Max is like kind of haggard, and his car is all dirty, and, he's just scrounging for gasoline and food. He has a dog as his only companion. An only friend, but he pretty much has to help a group of people that are at an oil refinery fight like a berserker barbarian horde of guys that just want to steal gas and take their food and just kill them and run the land. And he stumbles on them trying to get gas, and they end up hiring him to help, and he completes the mission. But Max, he kind of steps out of not being the hero as much. He's like, because he's so hurt and he's so destroyed and he doesn't want to get close to anybody. So he's like, he does what they ask him. They pay him in gas and in food, and he takes that and he leaves. He leaves these people when they need him to help them get to a safer climate, right? And he leaves. But sometimes with fate, it gives us a little something. So as Max is leaving and he's thinking he's just going to go do his thing, the bad guys actually get the better of him. His car gets destroyed, his dog gets killed, and he's beat up. Max is a hero that gets beat up a lot. Even in the first movie, he gets hurt real bad. He gets even hurt more in this one, where, his eye can barely open. He's bleeding. His arm's kind of shattered, and he's kind of just gimping around. His car's destroyed. He's lost everything. And his one friend that he didn't want as a friend, which is strange. He didn't want him as a friend, but he becomes his friend. He actually flies out there to get him. So he didn't want a friend, but guess what? A friend that he didn't want, that wanted him, came to help him and saves him. You got to patch him up. But the people still got to get to this place, and they're going anyway. And Max, at a moment of remembering of being the hero that he once was, or the good man he once was, says, I'm going to drive this diesel truck. and we're going to make this happen. And they trust him enough after talking that they're going to, and by the way, he's still bleeding. He's still beat up, ribs probably broken. And he's driving this truck and he has the greatest film standoff of all time, racing down these roads, stopping these guys from stealing the gasoline. But little do they know, the gasoline's not in the tanker he's driving. It's with the more non-warrior of that clan. They're driving in another direction with the gasoline. So it's a distraction because they're all going to think, right, it's the gas is there. So they're all following. And the other guys get a chance to escape. And then if they survive that, they'll rendezvous with them later. But the people will be able to get away. All the children, the women, the old, they're all going in that direction.
Wow.
So they have a little band army around the truck and vehicles with them. And Max and literally, well, let me see, 3 others survive. Actually, 2, 3 making Max survive. They started out with probably about 8 or 9 around there. And they ended up with the last 3. One's a little boy and Max and his buddy. That's the pilot. That's it. Everybody else got killed.
Wow.
So they survived. But in that thing that the movie narrates so great is from Max doing that, he learned to live again. He sacrificed and became a hero again. And his sacrifice helped for a brighter tomorrow. And sometimes in life, we forget who we are, what we're about. And that can happen, much like Max. That's why I used him as like he forgot. Even though he's definitely suffered some things that, would make people definitely more than upset. It definitely would change their outtake on life. But from it, it's kind of weird. It's almost like with Max, like God came in and said, you know what, I'm not done with you yet. You might have suffered very much like Job, but I'm giving you something, some people to fight for. And in there, you'll find your soul again. You won't be an empty shell of a man, a burned out, desolate man, as they describe him. You won't be that anymore. You'll learn to live again. And Max, he gives that. And the last movie, which I wasn't a fan of, he does make a big sacrifice to help these kids out. And he does. He really does. He takes that lesson and he applies it and he's able to help people, And it's kind of strange, but in life, that's really the thing that we all have in us. Max is no more special than you or me. He might wear a cooler outfit, might have a cooler car, that's for sure. Somebody might have some Power Ranger powers. But the thing about that was that all these characters are human. And from their journeys, we can be that. We can be the hero more than what we think. When you do something kind for somebody, you're being a hero more than what you think. When you do something out of just the goodness out of your own heart, you're being a hero. When do you become a villain? When you don't care. When you think about yourself. When you think about the things that only bring you joy and you could give a care less about anybody else. As a matter of fact, before I became handicapped, where I worked for the county, my head guy that I worked with, he used to have this saying that he would say all the time. I would tell him, I'd be like, hey, man, I heard about this and man, it's a sad situation, man. I really pray for the family or something, something happened. And he would be like, sucks to be them. That was his attitude. And he would just kind of just laugh and smirk it off. And I was like,
Wow.
And then when I came back to work, my last day, kind of just talking to everybody what was going on. I was using a walker. My wife was with me, and I was there at the school and stuff. And I saw him, and I was talking to him in his office, and he was just like, "Well, it just sucks you're not working here anymore." Again, the sucks to be you thing. And I'm just like, Not really, because, I'm on to better things and I don't have to put up with you anymore. If that's your attitude, which by that time I had been there close to 5 years. So I knew him well enough to say, well, that was his attitude, because he didn't care about anything but himself and his life.
Wow.
And some people were like that. And even though I was around him and tried to lay a positive foundation for him, he never bit. Like a fish that doesn't bite the bait, he never took the bait. Other people did that I was able to do some really cool things for and kind of lead them towards a better direction in life. I was able to do that for some, but he was the only one that really posed a problem, that just kind of fought against that. And you know what? We are going to encounter people like that. But from it, you look at it and you say, is that somebody I want to become? Not really. And this dude had everything. He had it all. He had it all. Over like 6'5" guy, most women found him very, very attractive. He had all that stuff, right? He had the whole deal. He had all that. But that's what type of guy he is. So see, with everything given to him, he's still a selfish person. You would think he would want to be more of a giving person because he's been so blessed, right? But it's really kind of the reverse sometimes. The people with less that came from difficulty and hardship and changes end up being the hero. The person that you think that has everything, they usually don't become the hero. They become the villain, you see? And that's one thing that I also learned. So in reference to your journey, Laura, what I'm saying too is a lot of people would have become a villain, right? They're just said, screw it, and I'm going to be a villain because like life's just done me wrong. So I'm just looking out for me, right? A lot of people do that. That's not the way to be. And through those influences, no matter how many foster homes or sort of kind of adoptions didn't happen and people that took you in, along that journey, something in you said, be better. This is your time to be better. Yes, it's a messed up situation, but be better. And you've been better. And one thing, I mean, I liked everything you said. Of course, it was great. But there's one thing that really stuck out. The number one thing that stuck out to me was, even though you had a bad experience with men, you tried to find the good in men still. And you found some good in men. And you have to understand how huge that is, because I'm gonna tell you something. I have a friend, gonna remain nameless, someone very, very close to me. I'm probably one of the few men that she ever trusted, but she lives, how would I PC this, an alternative lifestyle because what men have done. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And I don't think that you have an alternative lifestyle. And that's a testament, you see, because a lot of people end up being that alternative lifestyle. And I'm not saying every time, but a big percentage is because they have been hurt by a group, right? And so they go to the other group thinking it's going to be better over there, kind of a thing. Or that's their pull because they don't feel that they can completely trust over there.
Right.
And from it causes a path of difficulty, destruction, a journey of trying to find oneself that they may or may not find themselves out of there because they are just so lost and hurt and damaged. And I've seen that play many times, especially being from Southern California, so many times from a lot of people, and some people, they never come up on top from it, They literally just drown themselves in alcohol and drugs and bad decisions and different things. And I've seen it a lot throughout my many years. I guess I've been around. I've seen that. And so I want to say, I commend you for taking the road that you have, because it is not an easy road at all. And you have chosen the better path. From day one, I talked to you, nothing but positivity and good feel and vibe from you completely. Not a negative thing coming from you whatsoever. And I said, wow, look at this. This is amazing. And I said, this is someone that I need to look up to. This is someone that I need to admire, because when I thought I had seen it all, I was wrong. I saw you and I said, I still got a lot to learn, because look at this amazing journey that you've been on. It started horrible, but it became better, you know? And you really are a testament of that. And you need to be respected and admired by all. You know, I mean, we look at Power Rangers and think, you're a real life Power Ranger. You are. I might be a martial artist. I may have done my thing. I may have knocked and dropped out some people back in my day, but it doesn't even add up to you. You're the real essence of martial arts. You're the symbol of hope. You're the real fighter. There's nobody that I could fight right now that could add up to what you have faced. I don't care how tough the opponent is, if he's my equal or somebody that could way surpass me. That day that came when, you know, that person that was better than you and now they're here and you face them knowing that, hey, they're probably going to take me out today. Today's my day. None of that adds up to the journey that you've been on and you go on, and the fight that you've had and the attitude that you have, and you choose to be a symbol of light. No matter what the odds are, through adversity, you still are on that path. And that makes you the ultimate Power Ranger. Seriously, that makes you the ultimate Power Ranger, because to be a Ranger, you must overcome great evil and adversity. You've overcame great evil and you've overcome adversity at any level. And you still have all that's being thrown at you, good and bad. You still choose to be a hero. Not any kind of hero, but the right type of hero. Does that make sense?
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
You need to hear that, and you need to take that in, because that is an amazing journey. You know, I can't sing your praises enough on that one, because this is really a hero right here, boys and girls, men and women, young and old. This is really a hero right here. We look to these heroes and these basketball stars and whoever. This is a real hero right here. This is a real hero. And I'm going to prove to you, Laura, how else I know. I talked about my brother, right, earlier when you and I were just talking. Now, I told you my brother's done 7 to 8 tours in the war. He is the real deal when it comes to being a special operations soldier. He's it, right? But you know what my brother told me? He said, through all my journeys, through all the wars I've survived, through all the conflicts and everything I've had to do, he's like, listen, he's like, you see this life you're living? He's like, that's something I could never be or do. He's like, and to me, what you do and what you've become is bigger and more important than anything I've done in any war.
Oh, wow.
Okay? Yeah. So if my brother looks at me, at the way I've lived my life, and you're greater than me, then what does that say about you?
I guess I don't think of myself as better than anyone. I'm just trying to survive and be a good person.
See, it's not even about being better than anyone. It's just about doing the right thing and carrying those right attitudes in situations. And you've done it. See, that's the thing. If I could reflect briefly on something you said, and I mean this in a positive way, when you were talking about as a little kid drinking toilet water because you were so thirsty, how many people would drink toilet water like that and then want to be a good person and want to treat everyone well and not want to seek revenge on the very people that left them in that area to put them in the position to drink toilet water? Right?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. And you didn't do that. You kept your head up and someone told you this is awful now, but it's going to get better one day. And you believed it and you came through. You see, that's what I'm saying. It's not about being, this amazing person. It's about the acts that you do in your life when you're challenged and you could go this direction. You chose not to. Many people, heck, everyone is faced with the crossroad to go left or to go right. There's a story of a musician. He's one of the prime musicians of our time of just being human. His name was Robert Johnson, and he was supposed to be the best guitar player in the entire world. Okay. And he essentially became that. And this was back way in the early 1900s. What happened was he wanted to be this amazing, groundbreaking musician, right? Great guitar player. And the story goes that he went to the crossroads. That's where that came from. He went to the crossroads, and there was a man, and the man was supposed to be the devil. And the devil's playing a guitar like he's never heard, like inhumanly possible, like just killing it, right? And he goes, I want to play like that. He's like, well, you do. He's like, well, I got a deal for you. He's like, I can make you play like that. It's going to cost you something, but you'll be all the things you want to be, Robert Johnson. You'll be everything. Now, all I want is a soul, your soul. And Robert Johnson, it was said that he sold his soul because he went from a basic, mediocre guitar player to the most amazing thing people had ever seen overnight. Okay? The true story. They said people that heard him, you hear his recordings, you're like, wow, he really did do that. But guess what? He only got to see the fame so far because then he was killed at a restaurant by a guy. He never got to see the fame. And they said that was the price for his soul. Was he only got to see so far, but then the price he had to pay was his death.
Wow.
Okay. So that's what I mean by crossroads, left or right. What did Robert Johnson choose? He didn't choose to go right? He didn't say, no, thanks. I don't think I want to sell my soul for this. I'll just work it out and see if I can build the talent to do so. He said, no, give it to me now. Give it to me this way. I'll take it today. Make it happen. Right? That's the thing. You see, how many people would choose to sell their soul for fame or for power or for whatever they want? Good grilled cheese sandwich. I don't know. It just depends on what you find appealing, right? To marry the most beautiful woman, whatever. The woman you want, whatever, and to be rich and to drive a Lamborghini, whatever. So many people. Look at the world we live in today. What's going on in the news? The rapper guy, I don't listen to rap, but I do know who he is, the Puff Daddy guy. He's going through it because he's made some bad deals, right? It didn't happen today. It didn't happen tomorrow. It happened years down the road where the story fully got flushed out, right? It came out because he did some things that were not cool. He made some deals that weren't great. This is what people sign up for. They want to be rich. They want to be handsome. They want to be wealthy. They want to have this. They want to have that. They want to have that, you know, but it all comes out in the end. This is what I mean when I tell you, you made the big decision that most people would avoid. You know, you made that decision. And it's awesome just to see that. Think about all the people that get all the plastic surgery. They look different, but they look good because they got all this plastic surgery. Here's the catch. You better hope your gene pool is filled with pretty people, because if you have children, they may look like what you look like before you had the plastic surgery. Mm-hmm. And that happened. There was a lady in Asia. I don't know if you heard this, but there was a lady in Asia that she had plastic surgery to make herself more beautiful and appealing to the rich bachelors. So she got herself a rich bachelor, right? He married her. He's happy. She gets pregnant. He's happy. The baby comes. The kids come. And he's looking at them and like, these are the ugliest kids I've ever seen in my life. And he's like, what did she look like when she was younger? Not only did he find that out, but she had plastic surgery. So what did she look like before? Oh my gosh, the kids look just like her. And you know what he did? He said, divorce.
Wow.
That's that. So she went seeking something, and she got that something. But was it everything she thought it was going to be? It caught up with her, right?
Right.
It caught up with her every time. And life has its way of catching up with you. So you want to make sure that your deeds are good and pure. No one's perfect, but your goal should be to, at the end of the day and at the beginning of the day, to go into it doing what is right, not living a life of doing what is wrong. And that's why I commend you, because you've lived a life that has been right and not wrong, you know, and you work every day. It's not easy to do what is right. It's actually really hard. It's really, really hard to do what is right. It's easy to do what is wrong. It's easy to take the easy path, which is always not the best path. You know, it takes true strength to be gentle and kind. You know, as the Smiths would say, which is an 80s band. If you're really into music, you might know they or might not, but they had a song called I Know It's Over. And the lyric was, it's easy to laugh and show hate, but it takes true strength to be gentle and kind, is the lyric.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true. That's true down to its core. It's not easy to do what is right and to stand for what is right, but it's the right thing to do. It's easy to do the wrong thing and to give in. Think about it as the dark side and the light side in the original Star Wars trilogy, which is the only trilogy I really like. I didn't like the other trilogy, just the original three. And the whole thing that Yoda would always tell Luke is, once you start down that dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny. It'll consume you, it will. That's what he tells him, just like it did Obi-Wan's apprentice, Vader. So he lets you know you can go left or right, and you can also take it even deeper, where the dark side, as it was explained, was the easy path. You can get power quick, and you can accomplish this quick, but it's not the right path, and it comes with the price. And he said, but if you achieve the light side, it might take you longer. You might have to be more patient, but when you're done and you come out the other end of the tunnel, your soul will be intact and you'll be righteous. So which one's more important? Fast and power, light and righteous. You see? And so many people become Darth Vaders instead of Luke Skywalkers. So many people choose that path. I know so many Darth Vaders that have chosen that path and have no problem embracing their dark side element. But when the ceiling crashes and they've got nowhere to run, the first person they want to find is not another Darth Vader, but a light side person. That's where they want to go. because they already know what the dark side guy is going to do because they've already been over there. They know the light side person will help them change that tire, help them pay that bill, help them give them a couple dollars, help them fix a house, help them give them money for a house, right? They know that. See? They know the dark side guy. What's in it for me? I'm keeping money to myself. I don't care about that. Yeah, exactly. They know. They already know. You know, everyone loves the star when he's on the top. But when it starts to fall, you know, nobody knows you. You know, when you got something that everybody wants, as Van Halen said, everybody wants you. You're it. But once that starts to die down, who are you?
Mm-hmm.
And who are the people that really matter in your life? Who are the people that are important? What really drives? What's really important? What's this about? That's the question that's asked. You know, that's why so many people, they crack up the way they do. Amanda Bynes and all these people. They had the fame, right? But the damage they had in their lives, it eventually came out, right? It came out. You can't hide from it. You have to learn how to stare down the demons and fight it correct way. If you cut and do shortcuts and all that stuff, it'll come back around. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but it will come back around. You know, and we're seeing more and more of that clearly today. You know, a lot of people are getting flushed out.
Yeah.
You know, you're finding out that a lot of people aren't what we thought they were, you know, because they chose that path. That's why I've got a lot of respect for Robert Downey Jr. You know, he lived a really reckless life at one time, real bad, did jail time for it and everything. And he learned from his mistakes and he became a better man. And you see him just loving on people, signing autographs, visiting kids in the hospital. He's doing it out because he learned, like, this is really what life is about. It's not about this stuff over here.
Right.
You know who gave him that chance and that opportunity and who believed in him and never left him alone? Mel Gibson, Mad Max himself.
Oh, wow.
There you go. Comes full circle. Comes full circle. And when Mel started to go through his problems and things that were going wrong with him, guess who that one friend was that stood by him? Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow.
See?
I don't know a lot about TV. I haven't owned a TV in, I don't know, 8 or 9 years. So
I got you.
I'm very simple. I just kind of watch my YouTube. I'm boring. People would say I'm boring because I don't do anything. I don't go out. I don't party. I don't do any of that. I just am at home with the cat, you know. So
well, I'm more of a gatherer of knowledge. So I read a lot of books and study a lot of things, and film is history and learning. You know, there's a lot of learning aspects to film, especially classic film and things of a certain time. You know, the films they make today it depends. It could be a yes or no. So I really became a student of that at a very young age. And that's why I know the things I know. You know, it's because I became. You okay?
Yeah, I fell.
Oh, you all right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I became a student, you know, of that. You look at, you know, my books, you know, and you'll see like nothing but philosophy, stoicism, warriors' journeys. That's what you see up there. You know, stories that have really changed the face of societies and things. I like the Book of Five Rings, written by the story of Miyamoto Musashi, who was considered to be the best warrior in Japan. And, you know, it's a short read, but basically he explains what it really means to be a warrior. And to really be a warrior, you must be well-rounded in life. You must understand things about poetry, cooking, living, being a warrior, it all comes together in full cycle. It's literally like a short roadmap that explains life in many different sections. And it's really cool. So that was something that was always appealing to me. You know, as a martial artist, Japanese culture is very important. Miyamoto Musashi has influenced so many people, including Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has the Miyamoto Musashi tattoos all over here because he always wants to remember that. It really helped him, you know, zone in on those things. So it's like it's one of those things. So I always look for inspiration, you know, I keep inspiration around me, you know, at all times. So that's why I'm, you know, I just don't like film. Like that's what film means to me. I love the hero. And so I always look for that, you know, whether if it's through a book, through a film, through history, I'm always looking for heroes because I've always been inspired by heroes. Heroes have been so important to me, you know, and they spoke to me more than anything in my life was being a hero. I always wanted to be that and to strive for that in my life, you know. I didn't get a chance to go to the military because I had asthma, so they wouldn't take me. But, you know, my brother did, and he became the hero of heroes, you know. And I'm very inspired by him and all that he accomplished because he did it bigger and badder than most people get a chance to do. And you go on his LinkedIn and it's like, it's huge. You know, it has everything on his LinkedIn, has everything he ever did in his whole military career up to current. And it's crazy. It's like, yeah, he really lived being a hero because my brother believed in civil service. He believed in serving people and doing what is right and fighting those conflicts and stopping and killing the enemy and making the world a better place. My brother took that to heart, and that's what made him into what he is today.
Yeah, cool.
So it's like, you know, it's in him, it's in me. And we were always inspired by that. John Rambo was a huge influence on my brother, was a huge influence on me. You know, he took those things to heart and used them in realistic scenarios. And that's what he did. You know, so, you know, it's good to have those motivations and those inspirations. You know, I work out, keep myself the way that I do because I'm inspired by those heroes. You know, the Power Rangers, they were always working out, right? They're always in the gym. You know, Tommy was always working out. Jason was always working out. Zach was always working out. Kimberly was always working out. You know, like that's what they did, you know, and like that inspired me, you know. So it always inspired me to, you know, I got to eat better, train better, do better, be more focused because it pays out for you in the end. And so I've always just kind of kept that with me, you know. So, you know, I surround myself like this area, I surround myself by those influences. You know, when you look around my office in a circle, you see nothing but influences. You know, I've got my giant Millennium Falcon that I custom built and did over here. You know, I've got my giant Batwing, Batmobile, my Speed Racer Mach 5. You know, my Rebel Pilot Wedge Antilles helmet. You know, I've got my Green Ranger memorabilia. I've got a picture of me as a kid being He-Man. You know, I've got Bruce Lee over here, got Brandon Lee, Bret the Hitman Hart, all people that have inspired me to go the distance and to become greater than I thought I could be because they definitely have lived and done that themselves. And they're a testament and an example for me to remember because they all started being nobodies and being small and growing to that stature and that height that we see now. But they came from somewhere. They all came from somewhere. Jason David Frank lived in a place where they didn't have plumbing. He had to use an outhouse, you know, all that stuff. Didn't have shoes sometimes. I mean, you know, things were crazy, right? But he found a way to overcome that. Bruce Lee was rejected by the people in Hong Kong. because it was revealed that, his mother had European ancestry and her bloodline. And in China, in Hong Kong, in Chinese area, they did not smile upon that. That was considered mixing of the blood that was not pure. So it was said that was because of that, his training with Master Yip Man was not, he couldn't do it during the normal hours with the other students because they rejected him. So Yip Man had to do it on the side to train him because of that. And his family was kind of outcasted.
Really?
Yep, that's true. Bruce was an outcast. That's why Bruce had such a passion for people, because he knew what it was like to be rejected. He knew what it was like to be looked down on, and who did he become? The face of martial arts. When you think martial arts, you think Bruce Lee. He's it. He became that. And everybody in China, oh, he's my hero. He's all this. But guess what? They rejected him, right? When he was a kid. They weren't saying that then. He showed him.
All right.
There was more to him than that. That was the thing. And he became one of our most admired figures in the history of the world. Not the United States, but the world. There is a Bruce Lee statue in almost every country. Even Putin over in Russia. His name, Bruce Lee. They got a statue over there too.
Wow.
So, I mean, I've got nephews that are young that definitely weren't around for the martial art craze. They know Bruce Lee and they look up to him. Yeah.
Oh.
My son looks up to Bruce Lee. He loves him. He wants to be as good as he is. That's what I'm saying. It's the gift that keeps giving.
Mm-hmm.
You see, Bruce Lee died in 1973 at 32. It was a long time ago, but he's still inspiring us today. He's still moving mountains through his teachings and who he was because of what he had to offer. Perfect man? No, he had affairs. He did cocaine. It's true. That was a hard one for me to swallow.
Mm.
But, he's not without his flaws, but definitely, he did it. He did his thing. He still gave positive influence. He just had some hiccups along the road, and this stuff didn't come out till probably about, I don't know, maybe about 4 years ago, maybe a little less. So, because somebody bought his diaries, because Bruce would write daily for a lot of years. So you would see in his diaries picking up cocaine package here from Bob. And his wife was like, when are you sending more hash? When are you sending more cocaine? Bruce needs more cocaine. Yeah. Right. Okay.
Wow.
Hey, I got you. We all have our flaws, and that was Bruce's, was other women and a little bit of drugs. So, but I do believe that he did those drugs in some way because he was in a lot of pain. Bruce had a lot of medical issues, neurological issues, digestive issues. He had some problems there. And I think part of the reason for the drugs was to take the edge off that pain or to help him get through what he was trying to accomplish. That's my take on it. It's like, I think he was doing some of that for that. Could some of it be recreational? Well, I can't talk. Sure. Why not? But again, sometimes there's vices that people have. Yeah. No one's perfect, but he wasn't like, you know what I mean? He wasn't like an evil man. He wasn't going out doing evil things, evil deeds. He was trying to make the world a better place. That was the thing that really inspired you about Bruce, was that he was going the distance. He had flaws, but he never compromised himself by evil deeds in that way. Yes, he had many affairs. I can't try to clean that up if I tried. Hey, you know what? It's a bad thing. I wish he didn't. I wish he did better than that. But again, he's human. So, all we can do is look at his example and say, I don't want to be like that. I'm going to take this good that he had over here and go with that. And this over here, I'm just not going to be that. That's just simple.
Mm-hmm.
What you have to do sometimes about those situations. But we are who we are as humans. We just have to strive every day we wake up to be better and to do better.
Yep.
So, that's kind of the thing. So I've chattered long enough. I'm sure you've got some good stuff to say.
Just been listening and grateful for you, Drew. I'm glad that you let me on, and we should do a part 2.
If you are open to a part 2, I'll have a part 2, a part 3, a part 4, part 5, part 6, however many times you want to step up to the plate and go with me on this adventure. I will gladly have you back. I'm more than happy. I would love to have you back, on the show. So, if you got anything else you'd like to add, where people can find you, or, we could say Henry Resilient for sure. They can check you out on there when you pop up, right?
Sure. Or I have a weird name on my Instagram. It's Atara. It's a Hebrew name. It's my name in Hebrew, really. Atara Arnona. So Atara. Last name Arnona.
Okay.
So
that's where, and you guys can find her there, or you could find her on the Henry Resilient channel when he streams. She likes to come on the show and give some good information and good talks. So I'm a fan of that. So if you guys want to check her out there. Any other plugs you want to give to anybody, anything you got going?
Oh, obviously your channel.
My channel's whatever.
You know who I love?
Who's that?
Francis.
Oh yeah, it's Francis Baby. That's right. That's the name of her channel, if I remember correctly. So look up Francis Baby.
Yeah, go check out Francis.
There you go.
Awesome. So
that's a good one. Yeah. Well, I love Francis. She's good people.
Let me see if there's anybody else that I can't think of. Obviously, Henry.
Henry Resilient. Check him out.
Dust. Hi, Dust
Productions. Good dude. Good dude. Check out Dust, man. We all love Dust. He does a good job. Very proud of him.
Yeah.
We got the order coming. So me, Ken, and Rican, we've got the order. We're trying to start up, and we just did, I think, episode 3 this weekend. So it'll be released, and we're going to be doing a lot more stuff. If you guys want hats and shirts and all kinds of stuff, we're going to be doing a whole lot of different things. Shout out to my buddy and brother, Viking Samurai, who we had as a guest in episode 2, who also won his professional fight. And his movie just got released on Amazon, The Last Kumite. All sorts of martial art greats and classics are in this movie. And David is kicking butt in this movie and is an amazing martial artist. He's one of the best that I've seen in years. I couldn't be more proud of him. He's my brother and my friend, and I thank him for everything he's done for me. And you guys got to check out Viking Samurai's channel if you haven't seen it. He is amazing, and he is the new up-and-coming action star. He's not just done Last Kumite. He's actually done, I believe, 2 more movies behind it that are pretty much done, and I think he taped another 2, so about 4 4 movies right now. And he will be doing some really cool Power Ranger stuff in the future, guys. And we're just glad to have him. The other guest, which I must give a shout out for, I got to do it right. My guy, Judge Joseph Brown. Judge Joe Brown. This is his barbecue sauce, JBBQ. Get some barbecue sauce. I've tried it. It's really good. And he is just an amazing guy. If you guys know, Judge Joe Brown was a professional judge, and then he became a TV judge. He was Judge Judy's competition for many, many years. He's done amazing stuff. Personal friend of mine. I've done many episodes with him. Love him to death. He was running for mayor of Tennessee in Memphis. He didn't win this year, but he says he's done running for mayor. He's done it enough, and he's on to greener pastures. And I'm so grateful and blessed to have such an amazing mentor and neat guy just to be around. And he's really funny too. So, and he'll keep it real with you. So that's my shout out. I'm trying to think of who else we got. Dimitri and my boy Maine Jones. Thanks guys for always being supportive. We're going to have you on the order. Really proud of you guys. Keep doing what you do. Good stuff. Let's see what else. What have we not covered? I don't want to leave anybody out because I'll feel bad if I leave. Oh my gosh. Here we go. OG Silverback. My good buddy OG Silverback. Proud of you, man. Check out his channel. Now, caution and warning. He talks about his time in prison. So the stories may be scary. Okay. I'm just letting you know right now. But he's a great guy. I love what he does. But just check out his channel if you want. But just to let you guys know, it can be a big ride. All right. But he's a great guy. You guys should get to know him and check out what he does. But just remember, he can talk about some touchy subjects. Okay. But he keeps it real, and that's what makes him awesome. Who else we got? Armchair Revolution. Proud of him. Great channel. Check him out. Ivan the Great, another one. Great channel. Hard Body Don. Check out his channel. He's got some good workouts. Wow. Who else we got? I think I covered everybody. If I left you out, I'm so sorry. I promise I'll get you back in next time and make it right, okay? But we want to thank our special guest, Miss Laura, today for coming in and giving us a lot of her time because she could be doing a lot more glamorous, cool things than being on this channel. But she chose to come on here and share her amazing story, which just moved me, and I know will move you guys. And let me know down in the comments what you guys think about it. And if you got any questions for me or for her or whatever, I can pass over to her. We'll definitely get that done. And I'd really appreciate that. And again, guys, I'm sorry for being gone for so long. I'm going to try to come on here more often, but I'm being pulled in 20 different directions. And, you know, with my health and everything, I kind of live at the doctor. So with that, I promise I'm going to try to make more videos and content for you guys out there. All right. Thank you guys for everything. D's for Danger. And we're so glad to have Laura here on the show, and she will be coming back and do some more cool stuff. All right. Let me know about the merchandise, Drew Danger merchandise, order merchandise, and we will be working on things like that. All right, guys. D's for Danger. Drew Danger out.